It's all been leading to this, man. When I initially set out to do this countdown to episode 1000 special I've been doing every single Saturday, I had two videos in mind I wanted to end things off on. And this is one of them. Can y'all believe that tonight is episode 999, dude? Just me saying that feels crazy. Like, it's insane. But next week is 1000 week, man. Like, I can't even fathom such a thing, right? But it's gonna be so much fun. Can't wait for it. But I really wanted to save these two videos for last because as far as my catch-up journey goes, and as far as my initial experience through the story and how things changed for the better personally, these two had the biggest impact for so many years. And then, you know, multiple rereads and new experiences have changed my rankings about certain things, favorite moments, favorite arcs, whatever. But initially, this was top one. And honestly, this is the only arc I think that has never left the top two. Because even if, well, I would say top three. But I'm going to stick with top two because for right now, like I said, Wano hasn't ended yet. But this is the only arc that has never left the top two. Like, this has been either number one or number two for so many years. And I'm talking for so many years. When I initially created the first channel, and sorry about that. And I had to go out and create my very first favorite arcs list. My very first favorite arcs list had Water 7 Enies Lobby at number 1. And I actually reached out to my boy Anime Central, shout out to Anime Central, to use his I Wanna Live rap from that he had just recently recorded on the video because I loved it so much and it represented exactly what I loved about the Enies Lobby section of that arc. Water 7, come on, man, what more needs to be said? It's Water 7 Enies Lobby, so I don't even need to talk about how incredible the arc is. I'm just gonna talk about my own personal experiences, right? The reason why I really love this arc, man. Now, in terms of memorabilia, in terms of items that I own that I completely tied to that experience, I have a few right here, man. Now, of course, when I first initially went through the arc, actually, let me talk about that first and then I'll get to the memorabilia. When I first went through this arc, like I always tell y'all, I was very new to this stuff, man. Like, not just anime and manga, but the overall storytelling thing. Like, I didn't know story structure. I didn't know, any of that stuff, right? So these were my firsts. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, this is why I hold this series in such high regard, because a lot of this was my firsts. So when I went through Water 7, and trust me when I say what I'm about to say, that video's coming. The favorite stretches in One Piece. Because the Lord knows I have at least 3 that are contenders in the same, 2 that are solidified. Two stretches in Water 7 Enies Lobby that are solidified in that favorite stretches list. No question. No question. But when I first went through, from the end of the Davy Back filler in 226, because you know how the Davy Back canon stuff was the first go around, you do the ocean filler arc, and then you come back to the Davy Back again. And so at the end of the second Davy Back fight, which is the filler version, or the filler part of it, you meet Aokiji. Now, from the moment that you meet Aokiji, up until the end of, like, Water 7, is, for me, one of the greatest things, and for a long time it was the greatest thing that had ever been produced. That I just had never gone through anything like that in my entire life. Just the roller coaster of, like, meeting this extremely capable and strong individual. You've heard of these admirals, and you heard about the world government, but you see the strength before your very eyes. You're like, how in the world can we ever take on something like this? And then the questions with Robin, and it's like, hold up. And then you actually get to Water 7. And listen, man, when I found out that Oda wrote this arc with only 2 things in mind, and that was taking the Mary out of the picture, replacing it with a new ship, and getting a shipwright. he had those two things in mind. And everything else he thought of as it went on made me realize how much of a genius this dude is. Because I don't think there is any other arc that I have ever read that has the sharpest attention to detail to every single... There's like 50 different subplots happening in this arc. And the fact that they all culminate in the best way possible in Enies Lobby is absolutely insane to me. I don't know how he did it. It's a weekly manga. I could understand, man. If you're writing, you have opportunities for revision. You have opportunities to look back over your stuff. But on a weekly manga, to tell the type of story that he did in this arc with the levels of attention to detail and every single subplot, dude, the character moments in this arc for so many years for me were unrivaled. My favorite Luffy, Sanji, Nami, Robin, Usopp, like Frankie. I had my favorite moments from these characters in this arc for a long time until a lot of other greatness started taking place. And sometimes I still think that some moments in here, man, still are your favorite moments for these specific characters. It's just because of the subplots, man, because of the attention to detail. A quick example. After Luffy fights Usopp, go back and reread the manga, right? Go back and reread Water 7. And I want you to count the amount of chapters in which Luffy does not smile at all after he fights Usopp. If I'm not mistaken, from the last reread, I believe it was 15 chapters. I believe was the correct estimate. Do you know what that is? The king? The guy with the coat? Not smiling? Sanji Sea Train stuff, man. Legendary. Nami's second Help Me, which to me was... I can't watch that scene without tearing up with context. That is one of my favorite scenes in the entire series. And it's because of like the conversation I had last week in regards to the Sanji stuff and long-term payoff and the satisfaction of that. Seeing that Nami moment in Water 7 made me realize just how much Nami has grown as a character in terms of relying on other individuals. When she yells out to Sanji, or not to Sanji, to Luffy, to help her and to please go out and fix the situation, to please get out of whatever it is they're doing, to stop messing around, because Robin needs their help. And she cries for that. It is such a beautiful moment, man. Because you think back to what led to the original Help Me, which was her finally breaking down and not being able to have the strength of will to be able to do this on her own anymore. Too many things had piled up, man. The only way that she was going to be able to do anything was to ask somebody else for help. And so Luffy shows up at her very worst, and she lets out the legendary line, right? But the moment in Water 7 hits so hard because you know that about her. You know that Nami never cries. You know Nami does things on her own. And so when she's sitting here and she cries out for help, like, please stop fooling around. We have to do this for Robin. If not, we already know, we've already seen what's happening with the crew. Everything's falling apart. We can't lose Robin either. And it showcases how important this crew is to Nami, how important these relationships have come to her, or have become extremely important for her. And it's such a beautiful moment, man. And the fact that that's the catalyst that finally gets Luffy out of there is so good. I love that scene. I absolutely love that scene. And for years, like I said, it was my favorite Nami moment. Incredible stuff. It might honestly still be, but I'll think about that for another day. But the stretch from in the beginning of that arc, how everything just continues to escalate and escalate and escalate with like the money subplot, Robin CP9, you know, Zoro meeting the Frankie family on the ship. And it's like, they're all doing these different things. The money gets stolen. They're doing all these different things. And they all come together in just the most seamless way. You know, Usopp, we're finally seeing his character journey and what Oda was trying to do, or has been building up with his character for so long. And how much not only does the mirror mean to him, but the inner conflict within himself of, you know, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for to be able to take on these monsters that we're going to be fighting in the future. You know, should I even still be here? I'm just going to be holding everybody back. And so when he loses to Frankie and he loses the money, and you have those moments, oh man, dude. It's like he initially gets beaten up. Nami's with him. Then he goes back and faces the Frankie family and pones. Oh my, bro. They pwn him. He's lying on the ground, and when we get to the walk to the Frankie house, which is one of the most hype and epic moments of all time, episode 234. And then 235 and 236 with Luffy versus Usopp, it's hard to... That, to me, I said this in the Favorite Fights video, but I don't think I've ever experienced a battle that just messed with my emotions that bad. It is the most emotional fight I've ever experienced. And it's due to the episode 235 / chapter 332 stuff with Luffy and Usopp's argument, which from a dialogue standpoint, an atmosphere standpoint, an immersion standpoint, I think that might be the very best that you can get. Like that's peak. That's peak, man. Like, I can tell you from personal experience, I dream of having other individuals be as immersed as they are when not only myself but others that I'll watch with reactions are as immersed as they are experiencing episodes 235 and episodes 236. It's truly something special because you just don't see it coming. It's one of those special moments whenever you're experiencing a story that just come out of absolutely nowhere. And it's just so well done that you can't help but just be like, Flagnors, this is incredible. And, you know, just that fight, that whole stretch of chapters. And the crazy part about it is that it doesn't even end there, man. Like, then you have the incredible nighttime stuff, and I'm so weak to stuff that takes place in the night where it culminates like that in terms of like the James Bond or like the Metal Gear Solid would be best way to put it. When stuff is culminating, it hits nighttime, and you have to sneak around, you have to get into the mansion, stuff is popping off, you know, you're getting answers, but then you're getting more questions. Robin and Iceberg stuff, like, holy Flagnard's CP9 reveal, you know, a lot of crazy stuff, and characters, amazing moments. Aqua Laguna's coming in. It's such a special portion of the story, bro. And Water 7 just... anime adaptation wise and in the manga, it's perfectly paced in the manga. It's just it is just perfection, man. It is truly just, it's beautiful. It is storytelling brilliance at its finest, and just, you know, the greatest setup that you could possibly ever ask for when it comes to, you know, setting up the second part of the story. So then the bridge arc in the sea train is just such a good bridge arc because it gives opportunities. It gave an opportunity to give us some of the best lines that we have in the series, like you know, believe in Luffy when Usopp says that, knowing Sogeking, when Sogeking tells that to Robin, it truly captures the beauty of this series, that even when they're away, even when they're not a part of the crew, they're still going to continue, you know, working as hard as possible because they know how Luffy is, man. You know, they're gonna continue moving forward. and you get those beautiful moments there. You get the incredible Sanji sea train stuff, which is just goated. It's so goat. Then the you can do only what you can do stuff. You know, focusing on each individual Straw Hats or each individual person's. What is that you can do that nobody else can do? Really beautiful stuff. And the countdown continues. You got Lucci being a goat. When you get Soga King in any type of situation, it's always legendary, right? But then you finally get to Annie's lobby, and man, dude, I still have the Gear Second poster. The legendary episode 274, whenever they walk up to the face-off between CP9 and the Straw Hats, and then the moment that I think if there's any One Piece moment that I'm never going to take out of my favorites list, that's always going to be there, it's the I Want to Live. And I know all of us have different reasons for that. It's a moment that may be very personal to you. It's a moment that may have truly showed you, the beauty of this story, or just because of the build, everything. It's such an incredible moment that it's the most consistent when I see people's favorites moments list. It's always in there. It's always in there. And I can tell you the last time that I talked about my favorite moments, it was without question in there. And the reason for that, the reason why is chapter 398 in the manga and episode 278 in the anime. The reason why it's there for me is not only is the moment very personal for me in regards to Robin's decision, and not only Robin's decision, but the freedom that Luffy and the Straw Hats give to her in making that decision. Like, yo, you do whatever it is that you want to do, and we'll take care of the rest. Soga King, shoot down that flag. Get this garbage out of here. Like, I don't care what it means. The world government, this war, none of it matters. We will do anything possible to go get you back. It's so good. And it is the Luffy moment for me in regards to this is what this dude is willing to do for his people. And how he's willing to take accountability and responsibility for his actions. Like, he's not just doing this out of just saying he's going to do it. He's going to do it, and he's going to back it up, man. Like, he's going to go up in like swimmer. You can trust in the king. And I love that moment so much. Usopp with the mask on, he doesn't have to fear about anything, shoots down the flag. And it's so good because they're finally here in front of Robin. And when Robin finally states the Ikite, the I Want to Live, it is one of the most satisfying moments ever, man. And I can tell you this, when I first experienced that scene, that was the catalyst that officially propelled me in the way that I've been going ever since then, in regards to wanting to make somebody else experience something that makes them feel the way that I felt while experiencing that scene. That scene just made it crystal clear. This is what I want to do with my career. This is what I want to do in regards to my life and what I wish to create and put out there, right? And it was just that moment for me, man. Which is why when we go to the memorabilia, this for me, for so many years, was my favorite volume in this series. Volume 41, man. It's such a beautiful volume. Starting off with Luffy poning Bluno. Then you get the walk up there. Goated. Robin's flashback, which by itself, up until the Odin flashback came out, was my favorite flashback in the series. And it was not only my favorite flashback for how emotional it was, but also in terms of lore, it is an extremely good flashback. Extremely good. So on all fronts, it's just a spectacular flashback, man. Then, of course, you get the I Want to Live and shoot down that flag, and, come on. Peak fiction, right? Peak fiction. But not only that, man, but I love this scene so much that even the anime versions of them, I have a very soft spot, like I said, for the Nami scene. So this stuff right here, I'll never forget when I first saw this at Walmart. Because at the time, Toonami just recently announced they were going to start airing One Piece episodes. And the One Piece, I believe the dub had stopped dubbing episodes for like 4 years at this point, or like 3 years, whatever it was. But as somebody who was watching the voyages, like whenever I would go buy them and have a source to rewatch them on somewhere other than what was the website, Watch OP, that I initially used to watch the series on, because there was no Crunchyroll back then, you know what I mean? Shout out to Watch OP and shout out to Kaizoku fan subs. But that's where I would have to go back and rewatch episodes. And I was like, at some point in time, I was like, I want to watch some of these on my TV, right? So I would go out and buy the DVDs and whatnot, which is some of them that I still have. But I remember when I first started doing the season 4 stuff and David Back Fight and all that stuff, when Water 7 started coming out, I was like, oh man, I got to collect all those. So, because that arc is amazing. So whenever they reached Voyage 5, and I saw it at Walmart, I was like, oh man, that's an instant buy. It was like $20. I was like, that's a steal. And then these two right here, I watched these two in my living room, and this was long time. I watched these two in my living room because I was like, I need the greatest possible experience. And the living room at the time had like the best TV in the house. And I was like, I don't care who, comes up in here. I don't care if, whatever it is, my family would sit down and watch this with me sometimes. They're like, yo, you gotta understand, man, this is that peak. This is peak. So the whole beginning of Eni's Lobby from like episode 264, 264 all the way to 278. I remember I would just sit in the living room sometimes. As, people would be out here having dinner. We'd have visitors, whatever. I ain't give a flying fly, man. I was sitting there watching some Eni's Lobby. Like, y'all better sit down and take a seat. Experience some peak. You know what I'm saying? But I want to watch this in full HD glory with the best TV in the house, man. That's just how special those are for me. I'll always hold high memories for this stuff. And then there's just continuing on with more memories. Episode 309 was an episode that tied me and one of my best friends together, Josh. But every time I would go over to his house, we would just throw on episode 309 after he caught up and whatnot, and we would watch it. We used to call it The Colors because of in the Kaizoku fan subs version, whenever he gets him with the Jet Gatling, it would go like rainbow colors for the attack. It made it super intense. So every time I would come over, we would have to watch that episode at least once. Legendary episode 309. And then episode 312, I can tell you, honestly speaking, that was the first time that I had ever like legitimately cried while watching or reading anything. Like, I had teared up before, especially during the Chopper stuff, the Nami stuff, even Robin's flashback in Water 7, like with Luffy and Usopp. Like, I teared up a lot. But episode 312 for the Merryman, I think that was like the first time that I legitimately ever was like, dude, this is hitting harder than like going back as well to the Alabasta, the Farewell, like all that stuff got me super, super emotional. One Piece is the most that I've ever like teared up / cried for anything, right? But episode 312, when Dear Friend starts playing and the Mary starts talking, oh man, there's certain moments you just never forget when you first experience it. I will never forget the first time I watched that, because I had never experienced those feelings before while going through a story. I didn't know it was possible. I was like, yo, I ain't trying to cry, man. Especially at the time, I had like my whole machismo thing going on, man. I was like, I ain't crying for nothing, man. Like, I was shed the manly tears, things or how it was. But by the final, it's 312. I mean, this series honestly broke that wall, and it just made me okay with just tearing up for anything, right? Because I was like, you know what, man? If something can make you tear up / cry for it, obviously it's something very powerful. But this really was one of the things that opened the floodgates for that, where I was like, yo, am I really feeling this right now, man? Like, I'm feeling this way for a boat. Like, granted, that's our Nakama, that's our friend, right? That's Mary. But I remember just finishing the episode and be like, yo, that was like the hardest, the hardest the waterworks to ever come out. And it was for a ship. Like, what is this? It's such a great way to end the saga and to end the arc. Because of course you get the Eni's Lobby stuff and all that is incredible. But just to wrap up the video here, that Mary scene is really special, man. It truly is. It's something out of this world, because the episode by itself is already spectacular. Like, you go back and rewatch that episode, it's a marvelous adaptation. But I remember the first time that while going back and reading the series through in the manga, and I reached episode 400 or chapter 430, which I believe in the translation I originally read the chapter in, it was like the fallen, what was it? It was like the reminiscence of the fallen snow, the falling reminiscence of the snow. It was something like that. It was such a goat chapter title in the manga for the original. So in the original, the Viz translation is "A light snow reminiscence falls." The one that, like, for the fan translation, I forgot, but it was like my favorite title ever. But regardless, this whole final stretch right here after Luffy defeats Lucci is just so, like, when I remember thinking to myself, how in the world are they gonna get out of here? And this is one of those moments to where, looking on retrospect, it's obvious. But at the time when you're experiencing, you're like, oh my goodness, it's the Mary. When the Mary shows up, bro, that thing legit hit me so hard, man. Like I said, this truly was, like, this experience, I'm telling you, it was like the most emotional, it was like the most emotional thing ever, man. And then we had stuff afterwards that made the floodgates, burst even more. But this was whenever I just became comfortable with it. I was like, because at the time I was just like, seriously, it just made me tear up so much. Where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it happen. Like, who cares? It's something really hits you hard to the point to where you want to cry. That's beautiful. That's powerful storytelling. That's something that all writers strive to achieve. And I recall, especially for chapter 430, that's where Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto, reached out to Oda. And I don't remember if it was like an author comment or if it was in an interview where he told him that particular scene made him cry while reading it. And it's just such a powerful scene, man. I mean, it's the loss. It is the only death of a Nakama, of a crew member in this series. And it hits, man. No matter how many times I go through it, it hits. In my case, man, it's such a beautiful moment. It really showcases that when Oda wants to culminate something on what started it all, because this is what started it all. This entire arc started on us, finding a replacement for the Mary, or trying to find a way to fix the Mary. We can't fix the Mary. That entire situation creates everything going in a downward spiral. And then what takes place here in the end of the arc is the Mary coming in to save us on its final mission. And then it breaks down and give it the Viking funeral. And it's just, man, dude, it hits. It's such a good moment. But this arc will always be special to me for stuff like that, right? Just being able to culminate everything and piece everything together in the best bow possible. It's such a well-written arc. I love it with every fiber of my being, man. It'll always be special to me because, like I've said throughout the video for multiple different reasons, but it truly is a special arc, man. Like, I love it with every, like, it's just, it's Water 70's lobby, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, it's so good. But yeah, this has been this week's video. Just talking about this wonderful arc. It's something that'll always be special to me. No matter how much time passes, this was the what, man. Like in regards to finally giving me that answer of what it is that I truly want to do. This arc was the what, man. I'll never forget, going through this. Like I said, when I reached episode 278, I was like, this is what I want to do, man. I want to create something that can make others feel this. Because this is special, bro. This is what makes stories so special. When you're able to feel in the way that I'm feeling while experiencing this, it's truly beautiful, man. And this is the arc I've gone through the most, bro. Like when I see people are reaching this arc and their reactions, it's always fun. Because I can't wait to see either what they say about it in a review or how they react to it, going through it, and just seeing how they feel about the series coming out of it. Because this is the game changer. This is the arc that changes everything. This is the arc that once you get out of this, either you realize the series is not for you or you're in there forever. Excuse me, like this is the arc, man. This is the arc that truly changes everything, and it puts everything on the forefront for you. Like, are you a fan of this series, and if it's not for you, then you will know after this arc. You will know, like, all right, yeah, this is incredible, but I'm just not feeling it. It's not for me. And it's not for you. or for those individuals that this series is for them, they come out of this arc and like, yo, okay, I got it. I understand now. Like this is incredible. This is peak. Like this is for me. And it truly is the game changer in that regard, because now you realize the peaks that this series can go to. And for me at the time, since I was so new to this to anime and manga, this was the peakest of the peak. I had never experienced a peak like this. I didn't even know stuff like this was possible. You know what I'm saying? To tell such a long-term story like this, where the peaks are just so high and it continues to get better. It was a brand new concept, because of course I had seen it take place within the series already, but those were arcs parts of major sagas. These were 2 arcs in one massive saga, where everything legit had a purpose, where everything was just felt like it was going down. I was like, what is going on? And it's such a good arc, man. Water 70's lobby, absolutely phenomenal, and will never leave my top 5. That's for sure. I mean, I can never say never, because I don't know how many arcs One Piece has left, and we get a couple more Wanos, and who knows what's going to be the top 5. But I feel comfortable in saying this will never leave, because I'm a pretty nostalgia based individual, and because this is the last arc I experienced before switching over to the manga. This one, the one we'll be talking about next week, I feel like those 2 are set in stone, that they're staying in there forever. You know, they mean a lot to me. They really do, and I'll always love it, man. It's such an amazing arc. The writing is just, and it's like, how in the world did this dude write this weekly? It's one of those arcs where you just look back and you see how things are after going. You're like, what? Because he does that in all of the arcs, right? But there's just something about this arc and how just the setup and the payoff and all of it just feels so expertly done. It's like when you experience this arc, it's like, how is this possible weekly? But regardless, I'm done. Y'all have an awesome day. Take care. I'll see y'all next week. Let me know what y'all think about Water 70's lobby in the comments down below. What an arc, man. What an arc, dude.